Welcome to writingalong.com. Today's video is all about how you've been lied to about reading. You may have remembered these reading logs and all this stuff, stuff you had to, it's like live up to. Like someone put an expectation on you, like you got to read these books, and if you don't, you're failing. You're failing your classes. And what a discouraging way to introduce reading to people. Reading is a luxury. Reading has been reserved for some of the highest classes of society historically. And to this day, it kind of still is in a sense, which is just weird because it's public. It's available. Go to your public library. Doesn't that sound kind of cliche? Like, why the hell would I go to my library? What is there for me? Especially if you haven't found an enjoyment for reading on your own already. And if you have, then you may, in your mind, may light up with excitement at the idea of just being presented before all these books. People use books as decoration. That's okay. I'm not going to judge you. Nice little color that complements your coffee table. Good for you. I'm not judging you. But I'm saying reading as a whole is incredibly enjoyable. It's something that it's like, I don't want to compare it to a drug because it's not. There's something people always do in magazines and stuff. I don't know why they do it. It's just because it brings the mental images. They're like, oh yeah, this activity is equivalent to an opioid, like a drug. What? Like, no, that's already something within your brain. You can compare it if you want, but it's something just enjoyable, highly enjoyable. Why can't we just say that? And that's where I feel with reading too. Why can't we just say it's something that you can get into? It's something that you can find joy from. You don't have to force yourself to do it. When you really find what reading is to you, when you find the books that speak to you, it's not like a task that's like, oh, I got to get in my reading today. No, I mean, you look forward to it. You'll wake up and be like, I can't wait to read. Like I want to read this book. I want to read this author. I want to read everything they've ever written. That kind of thing. You'll be finding time. You'll be at your job, trying to peek a few pages in. You'll download the books just so you can read it electronically. All this stuff. You'll read it on the train to pass your time. It'll keep you up at night. Wondering what happens next, or you just want that feeling in your head. You want that just kind of like reading rush that you get because it tells you about yourself. It tells you about the world around you in a very honest and clear way. It's not you're not reading through encyclopedias. You're not reading through that kind of stuff. It's usually stories. It's even. I'm telling you, even philosophical works are usually some kind of story. It's some kind of individual coming to these revelations, these realizations, and you're following their mind as they go through that path, and it's fun. And that speaks to some people, but what speaks to some people just as profoundly? Just a good work of fiction. It doesn't have this air of this grandioseness to it. It's just a good book. It's just a good, fun, exciting read. Or it challenges certain thoughts and ideas on the world. That's what reading does for you. It gives you something. It's actually kind of selfish. When you find a good book, what are you reading it for? Are you reading it for the better of other people? You're reading it for you. When you're reading a book, you don't really get paid to read them, do you? Not always. No one's there's not a job you can get where we'll pay you to read works of literature. Why? Because it's something for yourself. And when you get paid, usually you're doing something for others. And it helps you, actually. Here's the thing. It's like an investment in yourself. But don't use the word investment exactly if that word doesn't resonate you, because it has a lot of connotations now. Like, oh, it's just money. It's just a marketing technique or something. It's just, all these things that they have this effect on me. I don't know if they have this effect on you, but I have a feeling if you're watching this and you found this video and it connects with you, you might relate to what I'm saying. You don't really like to use words like invest with this kind of stuff because it dilutes the meaning. It's not as fun, but it makes you a better person. Reading makes you smarter, not just in terms of I know all this stuff, but I mean it makes you make smarter decisions in your life. You're more intentional. You can be a better human being. You can be a better partner. You can be a better friend. And what does that mean? What does that word better mean? Doesn't it mean I started here, now I'm here? It just means you have a wider perspective, a wider lens. You're able to see into the eyes of others. You're able to understand and commit empathy in terms of It's an action. It's an act. It's something that it may be natural. It's going to start coming naturally to you, but it is something that it's not inherent. It doesn't just come to you just because. You got to build it. You got to develop it, and it happens through reading. And you will wake up and see the world in a not just sunshine and rainbows and oh, life is so great, but there's kind of a direction to it, because your own mind can only process so much. When you bring together different ideas, different brains, different experiences, you create a larger one. And it's like you're creating your own. The books you read are going to determine who you are as a person. And you get to kind of craft a life for yourself. When you read, you actually are adding into who you are. And it's almost as direct as if there was just this like store you can go to. I'm using this as an example, but it feels like this, that I want this to be a part of me. I want this to be a part of me. I want this to be a part of my personality and who I am. And when you pick a book and read it, it's like, or I want to be entertained. I want that. That's what a book is. And it's because it does require some kind of focus, it's rewarding. I love television. I really love it. But sometimes when I sit in front of it, guess what? I feel a little strained, but not in a typical way, because I'm not using my brain for anything. It's like it's completely passive. Very necessary sometimes, a pleasant form of entertainment and enjoying life sometimes. A nice film, a nice movie, a nice show. But when you read it, you've got to focus on the words. You've got to activate some part of your brain that is intentional. And it's not hard. That's the thing, especially when you find a book that you get, that you understand. You don't got to force yourself to read something you don't like. Find the book that you like. Get some recommendations from people. Ask around. Ask people like yourself if they've read any books that they've really enjoyed. And most people are happy to share. Most people are happy to talk about books that they love, because they can just go off on them forever. And you're starting a conversation and you're connecting with somebody in that way, in a deeper way. You ever sit around with somebody and you're trying to find something to talk about, and it just feels so superficial? It's just, what are we talking about? What are we really doing here? Like I'd be having a greater time on my own. Those kinds of points in conversations. Bring up books and find that it brings it, like it starts up, it lights up this part of people, and you'll find it lights up that part of yourself too, where, oh, read this book, check out this, and you're not like always saying why, because the effect is individual on people. That's what I'm saying. Reading is individual. Reading is for you. Reading is something that, if you're kind of distanced from it, if you're right now, it's not really something you actively do, I give it a try. Not because I said so, not because somebody told you to, but because what it can mean for you, how it'll fit into your life. Those moments you have, those idle moments where you got some time. We don't always have time to ourselves. It's a very busy world. This is a very loud world. Very, things are calling at you. But if you find a few minutes to yourself here and there, a couple hours, it adds up. Read and find it's relaxing. I think reading's people say meditation, as it's been, westernized, if you want to call it that, corporatized. People have meditation as part of their workplace, and cool, good for them. But that word, it's wider in meaning. Different cultures have developed their own version of it, and there's more authentic understandings of it. But reading is like a form of meditation, if you want to put it that way, because you kind of silence your mind to other things, and you're just focusing on this one thing. And it brings such a calm, it brings such a peace, such an understanding. You could be reading a thriller book, but when you're done with it, you just feel like, wow, it's like I experienced something, like I connected with something, or, I just had a good time reading that, and you feel good after. And kind of incentivizes you to go back to the book. Again, I want you to break free from these ideas of reading as something that's been forced upon you. I don't have all the answers. I don't know why reading has just made such a third, second, fourth, 10th rate activity in life. I don't know why it's been implemented as if this was a good idea, as something you have to do. This is something that read books that you hate. if you don't understand a book, if someone told you to read a book, by some authority figure, like in schooling or something, your university years, high school years, middle school, whatever, any context, it does kind of take away from reading. They took away a certain luxury of it, a certain aspect of what made it so fun was that it was your choice. You wanted to read this, and you're reading something you understand, something that speaks to your life, and develops you as a person. And that's what it's all about with reading. I mean, it's a part of your life, and it's something I would really hope more people can find as a more beyond just a pastime, but just something that you can enjoy, something that you can find some kind of fulfillment in. And it's hard to come by stuff like that, right? Stuff that really is sustainable, something that you don't have to buy on the street corner to feel good, or like to feel like horrible the next day because you're just so intoxicated. But it felt good, but you lost connection, and you got to recover. Like you know what I'm talking about? Like that kind of stuff has its place in life, but reading is something that it doesn't take that from you. It just takes a few minutes of your day, maybe an hour of your day, maybe less. Depends how much time you have. Just discover how much of a pleasure reading is. It really is a pleasure, and that's just what I want to conclude with. If you're interested in writing, there's a writing channel. Check out How to Write a Book in 30 Days on the website, writingalong.com. Everything you need to really get started. Just everything I learned while writing, and stuff I wish I knew when starting out. It would have saved me a lot of years of just stress and running around. And why did I start writing? Because I learned to love reading. Not because someone told me to, because I found out what it means for me, and I want you to find that out too, what it means for you. Find some books you love. Solicit recommendations from people you know, people you trust, people you look up to in your life. I'm serious. You'd be surprised what kind of conversations it brings up and what reading can be and mean for you. Find the pleasure in it, because it's there. All right, I'll see you around, and thanks for sticking by in this episode.